You're listening to the Confidence Coach Podcast, episode 71, Letting Go of Perfectionism, an interview with Julie Smith. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today I have Julie Smith. She's a mom to a sweet boy and a sassy girl, Wyatt and Clara. She's a full-time physical therapist and a health coach with a passion for pushing people to live their best life. Julie FitSmith was created to empower you to live your best life. As an integrative nutrition health coach, fitness coach, and physical therapist, she is here to help you reach all of your health, fitness, and wellness goals and reclaim your power utilizing a mind, body, and spirit approach. Let's dive on in. All right, guys, welcome back. Today I have Julie Smith with me. I'm pretty excited. She's a new friend of mine, and we're going to get to know Julie and what she's all about, what she's passionate about. So I'm going to let her take it away. Can you kind of tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, so my name's Julie Smith. I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. I now live in Forestville, which is a small little town outside of St. Louis, but we are surrounded by lakes and we go fishing and it's just fun. We're kind of off the beaten path, which is what me and my husband love. So I'm married to my best friend, Jeremy, and I have two wonderful children, Wyatt, who's 3, and Clara, who is 1, and they keep me on my toes every single day. I do a few different things, like my career, my job. I wear a few hats, but they all intermingle and they meet my passion. So I am a doctor of physical therapy, and I am an integrated nutrition health coach. I currently work full time for a company where I'm providing virtual physical therapy services to patients. And then I also created and own Julie FitSmith, which is where my true passions come together and they get to play, and it just lights me up. So Julie FitSmith is a coaching service, and I empower and coach women to take control of their health and their life, and I teach them the importance of self-love. And I whenever I meet a client, we go into different pillars of health. I believe that physical health, mental health, and spiritual health are kind of all tied together. And that gives you kind of your fundamentals almost, or your foundation of health. And so when I'm coaching women, I challenge them to look at each one of those pillars, and we really unravel what's going on in each one of those, because most likely if something's out of whack in one of those pillars, it's going to come out in something else. And most of the time that's poor habits, or that's poor mental habits or eating habits, whatever it is. They usually spiral out of control somewhere else. So like I said, I am a health coach, and most people seek me out for meal plans or workouts because that's my jam. That's what I'm good at. But the little piece that is missing, and what I add, is really breaking down the fundamentals of health and really digging into the mindset and just trying to unravel kind of what happened along the way.
I love that. Okay, so my first question for you, sorry, I have kind of a raspy voice. I went to a concert last night and apparently was screaming too much. So if I sound like an 80-year-old man, that's why.
No shame.
None at all right now. So how did you get into this field? Like what happened in your life that you had that aha moment and you're like, oh man, like this is my calling. This is my passion. I need to help women in this area.
Yeah, it was actually a very painful experience for me. I lost my mom. She passed away from stage 4 melanoma, and we had about a year. She was diagnosed in 2016. We lost her in 2017. It's about a year. And it was during that year that I kind of dug into ways that I could help her deal with not only the treatments that she was receiving for cancer, but the mindset. And just, it was through that process of trying to build my mom up that I was like, wow, I need to do some work on myself. in this. And if this happened to me in a year or two, I don't want to be at my deathbed and just be like, my life was okay. You know? So that was what really woke me up and made me passionate about teaching women to just love themselves, because life's short. And it's meant to be enjoyed, and just, you need to shine your light.
I love that. So first I want to say, I'm sorry to hear about your mom. I did not know that. And so now I kind of feel like a dick for asking, but I want to say,
no, that's okay. That's the part of it.
I appreciate your honesty and your vulnerability. And so if you're open to it, I'm curious how that transition was for you, like hearing your mom diagnosed, and kind of, because honestly, like I've had people I've lost people close to me in my life, never my parents, but people. And that is a punch in the gut. You know, when you think that somebody's going to be there till they're 80, 90, 100 plus years old, and it's like they're 48 years old and they have a terminal illness, or, you know, I lost my stepbrother and he was 29. Like, that's a punch in the gut, right?
Yeah.
And how did you work through that, especially since you didn't have the mindset tools that you have now?
It was hard. I was angry. I was mad. And that's when it kind of hit me that, you know, I have 2 kids. Well, at the time I had 1 kid, but I had a family and I had a husband, and I didn't want to wake up mad every day. I didn't want to wake up and just hate my life because something happened that was out of my control. So that's when I started looking into unraveling my mindset and really opening my eyes to meditation and gratitude and just seeing what was still available to me and how great my life still was. But I had to live it. I had to go through that process and unravel what was going on in my mind to kind of break down those barriers and break through it. And it's not easy. And like you said, it is a punch in the gut. And there are still some days where I'm just mad, but it's easier to be just okay with the situation and work through it than to wake up mad and crabby every day.
So let's talk about that, because I resonate a lot with the anger. I was very angry at the world for a long time. I had like this chip on my shoulder, and I was always like, you know, oh man, let's just say I was angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it takes a whole lot of energy to be angry.
It does.
But it also takes the equal amount of energy to focus on the positive, right?
It does.
So what steps or tools, resources, or even people in your life kind of helped you make that shift, or did you do it solo? Because I know I didn't do it solo. I had to have somebody call me out on my bullshit to help me become the person that I am today. So can you walk us through how you did that?
Yeah, it started because I was trying to walk my mom through having a positive mindset with her diagnosis. So when I was kind of calling her out on things, and then as I would call her out, I was like, ooh, well, I'm doing this also. So it kind of started solo, but then I think the more I had people, I spoke about being positive, and the more people were kind of aware of what I was doing, they started doing it. And they started, it could have just be as simple as sending me a quote. Like, I have friends that send me positive things all the time. So my friends started, now I wasn't even calling them and asking them to do it, but they just did it. My husband he is a very positive man. And anytime I'd come home bitching, he would always have a positive spin on it. So I think I was just surrounded by positive people. Which helped 100%. And then as I was pushing my mom, I kind of knew the tools to kind of stop myself.
I love that. So that brings me back to, you know, you hear people say all the time, like, you become the people that you surround yourself with, right? So if you surround yourself with positive people, it's like that, what do they call it? Osmosis, right? Like you start to just kind of absorb that energy, right? And it's the same
100%.
thing. If you walk into a room and everybody's angry and crying, like you feel that, like there's an emotion behind, or an energy behind it, right?
Yeah.
And so I love how you're like, I didn't really do a whole lot. People just kind of naturally started to come to me. I just started to, step into who I am called to become. So
Mm-hmm.
you say that, positivity or leadership is one of your superpowers, or what would you say is like your number one superpower?
Yeah. So my number one superpower is a servant's heart. I just love serving people and helping people. And secondly is leadership. I've just always been this natural born leader and just kind of did my own thing. And it just kind of trailed off into leading people. So service for sure. And then with that servant's heart, I've kind of turned into a leader.
I love that. So what do you think is the hardest part about serving others and leadership?
Getting out of my own head, 100%.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I feel like people say this all the time, a recovering perfectionist, but I mean, I grew up very hard on myself. And I even held myself back from doing things just because I didn't think I was going to be really, really good at them. So as soon as I kind of stepped into this position of leading women and teaching self-love, I kind of just had to let go of that perfection and get out of my own head and say, you know what, it doesn't have to be perfect. I can still teach, I can still talk to people and lead them without, I don't know, having it 100% perfect. And people, I think people like that. People like authenticity. People like that you can make mistakes. And once I realized that, so once I got out of my own damn head, it was so much easier to just lead and serve people.
Yep. Progress, not perfect. And before I started this, I don't know, this journey, I've been on it for a handful of years, we'll say. I don't even know. But people would say, progress, not perfect, Sasha. And I was at a place of anger in that time. And I'm like,
Yeah.
What more person says that to me? But it's true though. So I'm curious, what were some of the limiting beliefs that you had? And I just had this conversation. I just got off a group mastery call of my program, right? And everybody has different goals, but we all have very similar limiting beliefs. And so I'm just curious at what are some of your limiting beliefs that you used to have?
I'm not good enough is probably the biggest one. That's the one that I think just plays over and over in my head. And it comes out in, I'm not good enough to lead women, or I'm not good enough to teach this, and I know my shit. I know what I'm talking about. So it's just a silly belief that I am working every single day on just shutting it up.
It's a challenge too. And that's one of the things that it was hard for me, even and some of the women that I talked to, the I'm not good enough, or who am I? Right. And it's so funny because I talk to guys too, not like as often, but like guys don't have that as much as women, like, just like,
that is interesting.
I'm just going to do it. But us, there is a handful of men that are like, oh gosh, can I do this? Right. But a lot of times, like, guys don't have those, who am I? They're just like, who am I not? And I'm like, man, maybe we just need some more testosterone. I don't freaking I want to talk a little bit about the education piece, right? So you said you're a doctor of physical therapy and you're a health coach. Yep. I have a psychology background and I went to school and things like that. And that can be hard too.
Yes.
So kind of walk us through your education piece, because you're like, I know my shit. And I love that confidence about you. So tell us about that.
So I went to the lovely University of Evansville in Evansville, Indiana, small little town. Played Division I soccer there while I got my physical therapy degree. So my undergrad is in movement science, which if you are a personal trainer, they usually have their bachelor's degree in exercise science or movement science. So that's my undergrad. And then I have a doctorate in physical therapy, which was 3 years of graduate school where we just learned every single thing there is to know about the human body. I dissected a human body. I know the nerves, the brain, every single muscle in the body, what nerve innervates it, what its action does. I mean, it was crazy, but I loved it. It is my passion. And I just, 3 years. And then we also learn about, motivating people during that, and how to get people to exercise when they really don't want to exercise, because that's like 50% of my job.
It's funny because people, like the people who don't want to move are the people who probably need it the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to go back. You said you dissected a real human body.
Yeah. A little cadaver. Cadaver.
How was that? I mean, I've done like frogs and pigs and stuff like that, but a person?
Yeah. Human body. It was a mind shift. You had to walk in there, put your science hat on and not your human hat on. And it was, the first week was different. But I mean, after you got into it and you were just in your anatomy mode, I just got used to it, I guess. I don't know.
I love that. I like to think that I could do something like that. Like, there's not a lot of things that gross me out. So I just kind of find it fascinating. I'm like, oh, I know somebody who dissected a human body. That's awesome. So, okay. I want to talk about values a little bit, because it sounds like you value education and, and self-love, self-worth, and it sounds like family's at the top of your list too. So
definitely.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So family, 100%, and education are two of my top values. And then one that has kind of evolved into my life is authenticity. And like I said, a new one for me, but one that is just, I really appreciate when I see an authentic human being and they show up the same every single day, no matter bad day, good day, they are just going to be themselves. That is a big value of mine. And then love. I value love. I think it's important to show it every day, everyone you meet. And it takes a little bit to do that, because some people are not always nice. Some people are just in a shitty mood sometimes. But I have found that the more that you can love them, the better off my life is.
Yeah. And I love, it's funny. I used to really hate the word love. People would say love and I'm like, oh God, like you do that. Like, and I was like, I can't handle all the emotions. And I think it's funny because I've probably said the word love a half a dozen times in this already. So yeah. I also value like the authenticity. I'm working on like the love aspect of it, to like love yourself and love others, kind of like where they're at. But tell me what attracts you so much to the people who are authentic, because there's a bajillion people out there and we can smell bullshit from a mile away, but there's still people that try to bullshit us. So what does authenticity mean to you, and why is that such a value?
Authenticity means to me just being yourself and not being afraid of the judgment or what people might think when you show up as yourself. And it's so important to me because I didn't used to do this. And now that I have, I feel like I am able to share my life and my experiences and my lessons better because I am an authentic human being. I don't care what people think anymore. And I don't care that they may judge me for whatever. I just don't care. And it's been it just makes me feel lighter as a human being. So when I see it in other people, I just want to give them a high five or just hug them, because I'm like, you get it. Like, it doesn't matter. You're just being yourself.
I love that. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So I too hid behind a mask for a very long time. And so that's kind of why I appreciate like the vulnerability and the authenticity in people where, they're just being themselves, good, bad, ugly, whatever, like, we're showing up here as we are, not trying to impress anybody. So when did the shift happen for you? Like, when was that aha moment where you're like, who am I? Like, for me, the phrase that came to my head was like, who am I really trying to impress? Like, who am I behind this mask? Right. So when did the shift happen for you?
It was when I watched Mom fight for her life. And it's like, why am I hiding when I need to be myself? Because there's going to come a time when my time here on earth is done. And I don't want to look back and be like, I wasn't even myself my whole life. So it was during that process that I was like, I just need to step into who I am and be myself.
And that's a hard thing to do. It really is. And I know that I feel like this holds a lot of people back, but what do you think is the main reason that people are being held back from being authentic or being loving or just showing up as they are?
I think some of it boils down to their inner belief system of maybe I'm not good enough to be who I want to be, or maybe I'm not good enough to love people. And I think once you break down your limiting beliefs and really understand where they're coming from, a lot of the blocks that you have to being who you want to be or doing what you want to do kind of dissolve, because you're kind of making that connection between where that belief came from. And then once you can, well, at least this is what happened to me. Once I made that connection, I was able to be like, well, that's not even true. That's not even true today. And it was holding me back from being myself. If that makes sense. I feel like I just rambled, but.
No, it makes perfect sense. I love where you said, I ask myself, is it true? Because this is something that I teach too, and something that I often say to myself. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm a bag of shit today, or oh, this isn't this, or I'm not worth it. Nobody's done this, or there's not enough clients, or whatever the limiting belief is. And so the question that I always ask myself is this true? Is this ultimately true? And 99.9% of the time, the answer is no. Right. And so then you take the step to write the exact opposite new belief, and then try to program that into your head. Right. And it's like those mental push-ups to create that stamina there, where you're like, okay, I'm just going to I'm going to dissolve this limiting belief and replace it with this new belief. Yeah. So I think this is a great conversation. And there's actually one thing that I want to circle back to, because you talked about that you're married and you have children. Yes. Right. And so I too am married. I have one daughter, and then I have one on the way in August. So I'm not at the 2 children yet.
Oh my gosh.
2 children you have?
2 children. Yes.
So you might have to help me out
with how
it is shifting from 1 to 2. But tell us how it is with having a child and a husband and losing your mom and school and business. Like, how did you manage it all and not completely lose your shit, or did you?
No, maybe it depends who you ask. It's a lot, but if I feel, people ask me this a lot. They say, how do you do this? And it boils down to what I teach, how I coach people. I think there is a huge need for family life balance. Life meaning our family work career balance. Family being with my kids, I'm very close to even my cousins and my sister and my dad. So we're all really close. And I think you need to balance that with your passion, which happens to be my work. So I don't really call it work. What I do, it lights me up. I love it. So I have to, in order for me to show up good for my family, I have to fill my life up with what fills me up. So I am a very structured person. I've always been that way. So I wake up before my family wakes up, and I kind of have an hour where I meditate and I do what I need to do before I start my day. And this is where I get some of my business done. And it's behind the scenes. So my family doesn't even know about it. Then I go, I'm a mom. I get my kids ready for school. We go to work, I come home, and then we play. And then there's sometimes at night, if I need to do a few more things for business, or if I feel like I need a journal, I will go do that while kids are in bed. So it's all about managing my schedule and my family life as well. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just I have it blocked out.
This is awesome. I talk about time management a lot, and like prioritizing your life and like filling your cup first and things like that. So I have like a bajillion questions around this, but I just want to ask you 2. Like, what do you do for self-care and to fill your cup? I know you talked about getting up early and meditation, but kind of throughout the day, sometimes we need to, like re-energize or take time for ourselves. So like, what do you do for that? And then can you walk us through like your time blocking or your time management? I want to see kind of what you do.
Yeah. So for self-care, I'll meditate or I'll journal in the morning. That's like a 10-minute thing. Doesn't have to be long. And then 4 days a week, I will work out. I lift 2 days a week, and then I'll run or do some type of cardio. So that is my time. And that's usually 45 minutes max. I just go in, do whatever I need to do pretty quickly. I just do it It's hard. And then it's quick, fast, and then I'm out of there. But it recharges me every single time. And then what was the time blocking?
Time blocking, time management, or like scheduling, stuff like that. I want to know what your process is.
What I do is I have a list of things that are non-negotiable, things that I have to do in order to make my life be happy. And that includes working out. That includes mental health, which usually is some type of journaling or meditation, or I listen to affirmations. Sometimes if I'm just like working, I'll plug in some I am affirmations, which if you've never done that, give it a try. It's pretty cool. Where was I at? Oh, working out, mental health, nutrition. So I also do meal prep. I usually do it on Sundays. So I'll plan out like my week's worth of meals. And then my other non-negotiable is usually spiritual. So I factor in praying or going to church. So I have those non-negotiables and I plug them into my schedule, say the Sunday before that week. So Sunday usually involves praying or meditating. And I usually use Sunday as a day that I run. So I'll plug in running. I'll plug in maybe an hour of things that I need to do for my business, and then meal prepping. And then the rest of that time I spend with my family. And I do that every single day for the month. And it once you plug it in and realize how much time it actually doesn't take you. I feel like people get overwhelmed by the list of things, but if you plug it into your schedule and give yourself an hour to work on something, it's pretty powerful what you can get done in a day.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. So are you a paper planner person, or are you like a Google planner?
I am a paper planner. I have it with me. It's in my purse. It goes everywhere.
I have a couple different planners. The ones that I'm using right now, and I don't know why I have two, but I have a passion planner that kind of does like a day, week, and month, and then it has like the recaps or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I've been using lately, do you know who Brennan Burchard?
I know who he is.
Right? Okay. I don't know why I'm botching that last name, but it's the High Performance Habits Planner.
Yeah.
And that's more of like a day-to-day one, but that really helps me figure out like what my priorities are, because like I can understand where sometimes people get that overwhelmed, because when we look at our list and it's a mile long, we're like, holy smoke, like everything's important, right?
Yeah.
Not everything is of the same importance. And
right.
So kind of breaking down, what are the top 3 things that have to get done today to, make my family better, make me better, make my business better, things like that. And so really focusing on those high leverage actions, which it sounds like you kind of already naturally do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. I love how you're just, this is what works here and this is what works here.
Yeah.
So, all right, tell us a little bit more about what you got going on. Like in your business, and what advice you say to women?
Yeah.
Or
so
men,
I do a few different ways. There are a few different ways to work with me, but I mainly do one-on-one coaching. I have a 6-month program. I'm working on bringing monthly memberships in so people can just subscribe monthly if they would like workouts or meal plans. And I think I'm going to put in some type of self-love or self-care ideas into that, because it's such a missing component that a lot of women or men are missing. And then I'm also hosting a retreat in July. I'm still finalizing details for that, but it's going to cover what I teach: self-love and self-care and learning how to move your body and nutrition. And I'm going to incorporate physical therapy movement screens into it. So it's going to be literally everything that I do jam-packed into a weekend long. And I'm so excited for that.
So when are you releasing details for that?
It is going to be probably within the next week or two. Very close.
Okay. So pretty much everybody just needs to go follow you or get on your email list so that they can get all the details for the July retreat is what you said?
It's in July. Yes.
Okay. Oh man, I just had a question for you. Now I don't remember what it is. Oh, so what is your favorite part about coaching?
My favorite part is when the aha moment goes off in my client's head, that it's not even, so I give fitness plans and I give meal prep and all that, but it's when they finally realize that it's when they let go of their limiting beliefs and they're like, I can do this. I'm good enough to live the life that I want. I'm good enough to feed my body healthy food and exercise because I love my body. So it's when the aha moment goes off that they find self-love.
So what kind of people typically come to you? Like what's their pain points, or like?
I have a lot of new moms who are overwhelmed with being a mom and going to work and trying to manage taking care of themselves along with their family. Because a lot of moms kind of get lost in being a mom, and that's great. And that we're called to be mothers, but sometimes you kind of lose your self-care to caring for your children. So I attract a lot of women like that.
I hear ya. I talk to all moms that are like, I just don't have time, or I don't know how. And being on the other side of things, sometimes you just want to like shake those people, and you're like,
yes.
And you can't go around, shaking people. So that's why we create these programs and things like that. So, well, I'm not in the health and fitness side of things, but no, I love that. Okay. So what are some of the results from clients that you've worked with? Like, what do people say about you and your program? Or
the biggest one that I hear over and over is that they came to me for fitness and nutrition help, and that aha moment went off, that every part of their life has been changed. Their careers have changed. Their relationships have changed. So it spirals into every aspect of their life, when really we just broke down the barriers to why they had poor eating habits, or why they weren't showing their body love and not exercising.
I love that. Okay. Wow. I just realized that when you were talking about love earlier, how much I freaking say that word now. So I'm having my own aha moment here. I apologize if I'm like pissing anybody off by saying the word love all the time. But I like to think of, all of these things as alignment, right? And you being a physical therapist, I'm sure you can relate to this or agree with this, but, I go to the chiropractor, right? And so like you have one thing out of place, and, you have a kink in your back and it affects your whole physical body, or like you sleep on your neck wrong and it affects your whole physical body. Right. And I'm sure this is any kind of, physical therapist, doctor, chiropractor, whatever, one pain point, but it affects your whole body. Like you can't lift your kids, you can't do the dishes, you can't drive your car, you can't do anything. And so when you focus on, that one piece, getting it back into alignment with the rest of your life, everything starts to flow together. And so that's similar. If I'm hearing you right, you're talking about, okay, yes, we focus on health and nutrition, and they don't even know that you focus on career, money, children, parent, whatever it is. And so everything starts to fall into alignment, and it does have a lot to do with that mindset aspect. So while your main thing may be health and fitness, you really help people in all areas of their life, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Ooh, I like this. Okay. So I'm going to ask kind of an off the wall question, and you can answer it or not, but have you ever had like a difficult client or somebody say like, oh, this doesn't work, or something like that? And if so, like, how did you deal with it?
Yes. So the number one, probably not even a complaint, but just statement is, I don't have time to do everything that you do. And I don't challenge them. I just say, that's fine. But it's going to come bite you in the butt one day, and you're going to have to make the time to do it. When you get sick, or when you are so stressed out, you can't function. Like, you're going to have to take a step back and say, what do I need to do for myself to fix this? So I always tell people, you may not think you have time, or you may not think you know how to do all this, but I'm here to help you do that. And I'm here to show you that you actually do have the time.
And I think this is just people being proactive versus reactive. And sometimes we have to we let our lives get so out of control, so out of whack. And we literally have to be, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of times people literally have to be on their deathbed, for the lack of a better word, before
they do.
Things start to shift. And so for those people who even think that, okay, things are going okay for me right now, if you can't say, I feel confident in my health, or this area or that area, like there's always room for improvement. And it's going back to that being proactive versus reactive, right? It's so much easier to take care of something before the health problem occurs. A lot of people wait until they're diagnosed obese before they start to work out, instead of just their body 30 minutes a day and making it a habit. Like, our bodies are meant to move. And again, like, I'm not a health and fitness, but this is just something that I've learned from being a human, right?
Right.
Like, we are not meant to sit on our asses for 24 hours a day staring at a screen. While I know me and you are sitting here talking right now, we're both going to make it a priority to get movement in and do these things that we know are not only good for our physical bodies, but good for our spiritual bodies, emotional bodies, because again, it all works in alignment with one another. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is
love
awesome.
it.
I know. There's that word again. Oh my goodness, this is too funny. Okay, so let's start to wrap this up. I always like to ask people, what does confidence mean to you?
So I think it goes back to my value of authenticity, just showing up and being you. That when I see that in someone, I admire them, and I'm like, they are confident. They're confident in their skin. They love who they are, and they just are not afraid to show it. Yep. So authenticity, and even vulnerability a little bit.
Yep, I would agree with that too. And vulnerability in the sense that you're willing to share what's going on the inside and not just superficial stuff. I see, and I said this the other day, I don't remember if it was on the podcast or on social media, but you see some people and they're superficial vulnerable, right? Like, oh, look at this bad hair day that I have. And it's like, oh, come on. That's not vulnerability. Like, what's going on the inside? You know? So, all right, cool. Well, how can people get a hold of you? How can people follow you? How can people learn more?
Yeah. So I go to juliefitsmith.com. There's my website. You can get on my, you can join my newsletter or email list is what I'm trying to say. I have a Facebook page, Julie FitSmith, and then Instagram is Julie_FitSmith. What's
your favorite social media? What are you most active on?
I am probably Instagram and Facebook equal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely on Instagram more, but I find that there's still a lot of interaction on Facebook. So I try to.
Yeah, there is.
Facebook is still going strong.
I know. It sure is.
It's like never mind. I'm not even going to get on that.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for hopping on. I really loved this conversation. I think it's just cool and really to get to know you better, and for the listeners to get to know you and see what you're all about and know the inner workings and kind of your whole journey. So everybody go follow Journey. Everybody go follow Julie along her journey and see what she's up to. Check out her retreat, any of her one-on-one coaching and things like that. And I will also link all of her information in the show notes. So if you guys just look down, you'll see all of her links there. We'll make it really easy for you to click and follow. And then, let us know what you thought of this podcast. Go ahead, leave a review, share it with a friend. Tell us all the things. Be vulnerable. Be honest. All right, guys. Catch you on the flip side.